Exercising a hard-won right in Egypt, polls open in an historic presidential election. But Egyptians wonder, will the outcome mean more of the same? It is noon in Tahrir Square in Cairo. It's 1 p.m. in Baghdad. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. Also ahead, talking Iran down from nuclear enrichment. Key members of the UN Security Council hold talks in Baghdad in the hope of getting an agreement with Tehran on its nuclear program. A desperate plea from food agencies. Yemen is on the brink of a hunger catastrophe and needs urgent help. Plus, who said what to whom ahead of the biggest ever tech IPO? Underwriter Morgan Stanley defends its conduct during Facebook's market debut. But first, 2 days of voting are underway in Egypt in what's considered to be the country's first democratic presidential election. Before polling stations had even opened, long queues of people formed outside, waiting to cast their ballots. Across the country, 13,000 polling stations are up and running to cater for Egypt's 50 million eligible voters. They face a presidential race that's wide open. Around a dozen candidates are standing, representing both secular and religious backgrounds. Anger from protesters about the slow pace of reform. CNN's senior international correspondent Ben Wiedemann joins us now live from outside a polling station in Cairo. Ben, it has been described as an historic moment in Egypt. Of course, many around the country are watching closely what happens over the next few days and, of course, watching for the results on Sunday. That said, what about the region in itself? How closely are countries in the region watching the outcome of this election? The best way to understand what Egyptians want for their country is to hear it directly from them. So CNN went out on the streets of Cairo with a camera and a microphone. A team of election observers is monitoring the polls. Journalist Ian Lee is with some of them, and he joins us now on the phone from Cairo. And I guess the big role is now to make sure that this election is indeed free and fair.
That's exactly right, Monita. As Ben said earlier, that this is such an historic election.
Let's take a look at what papers around the world are saying about this. In the United Arab Emirates, this is the headline in Gulf News: Egypt's momentous day. It goes on to say Egypt's 50 million voters are now faced with a choice. Do they want a republic governed by Sharia, a liberal state, or a guided democracy with the military as guarantor, wielding power behind the scenes? The Australian has this headline: character must overcome creed. It's a comment piece that goes on to say, as Egyptians begin voting for a new president today, the key questions are whether an Islamist will win, and will this pave the way to a theocratic Egypt? But the country's future is less likely to be determined by the ideology of the president than by his temperament and political skills. And finally, here in Britain, the headline in The Guardian is Egyptians choose a leader, and for once, their votes will count. Today's presidential vote is that rare thing, a genuinely historic moment, the article goes on to say. It will be the first time ever that the Arab world's most populous country has chosen its leader without knowing in advance who the winner would be. High-level talks are being held in Baghdad to help defuse a worsening nuclear standoff. Officials from 6 leading world powers are in the Iraqi capital for discussions aimed at persuading Iran to scale back its nuclear ambitions. Just a day after the head of the UN's nuclear watchdog said Iran was close to signing an agreement with the agency. CNN's Mohammed Jamjoon is following the latest from Baghdad. He joins us now on the phone with more on this. And Mohammed, talk to us a little about the goal of this meeting and how close they are to getting to that goal.
Well, Monita, the biggest goal right now, according to the officials I've spoken to...
All right, Mohammed, thank you for that. Mohammed Jamjoon there in Baghdad. Well, Israel has threatened to attack Iran if it continues to develop its nuclear technology. And so strong words from Israel's leaders, even in light of a potential breakthrough with the IAEA and Iran. CNN's Sarah Seidner joins us now from Jerusalem with more on what some would say words that aren't really helping the situation, Sarah.
Well, here's what you're hearing from Israeli leaders. Basically, they're saying they're waiting patiently to see the outcome.
Right, Sarah, thank you for that. Sarah Seidner there in Jerusalem. A woman has been giving evidence in a British court about the so-called honor killing of her sister almost 9 years ago. She says she looked on as her parents suffocated her older sister. As Emma Murphy reports, they were allegedly unhappy about their daughter's Western lifestyle.
In the privacy of their home, they're said to have smothered the life from their eldest daughter, enraged by her increasingly Western ways.
The Eurozone is threatening economies around the world. That's the warning from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The OECD says countries in Europe need to pull together to help Greece and protect the single currency. Angel Gurria, the OECD's Secretary General, says the priority should be creating an infallible firewall.
I'd like to say we have put together all our weaponry.
Those measures will be discussed today by European leaders gathering for a summit in Brussels, and lively debate is expected over the issue of Eurozone bonds. The new French president, François Hollande, strongly supports the creation of collectively issued Eurobonds, but Germany is staunchly opposed to that idea. Emily Rubin reports.
Je suis le président.
Well, let's take a look at how the economies of some of the countries we mentioned in the report compare. Well, Germany is the #1 economy in Europe. According to the IMF, their GDP last year toppled $3.5 trillion. France, not far behind at $2.7 trillion. Greece, much smaller, a little more than $300 billion last year, while the GDP for the 17 Eurozone countries adds up to more than $13 trillion overall. You are watching World One live from London. Still ahead, a cry for help from Yemen. Aid groups say urgent assistance is needed. There are rising concerns that some Facebook friends may be closer than others. U.S. regulators are looking into claims that Morgan Stanley got a little too friendly with some of the investors in Facebook's IPO. Denies any wrongdoing. Well, Facebook's shares have slumped 18% since they started trading on the NASDAQ on Friday amid claims they were overvalued. For more on Facebook's rise and fall on the stock market, we're joined now by Felicia Taylor in New York. Felicia, talk to us through about what Morgan Stanley says they knew and what they did.
Well, that's exactly the question. And by the way, the stock in after-hours trading is down another 1 2/3% right now, trading at about.
Then there been skepticism anyway when all of this had started, when the valuation for Facebook is $100 billion, when its actual revenue was only at around $1 billion. Wouldn't there have been some sort of skepticism by traders and investors say, actually, hold on a second, this is a little bit too much?
Absolutely. There's no question about it. First of all, with an IPO, volatility is to be expected. But this was an IPO that was enormous.
I'm sure there are some people there who are breathing a bit of a sigh of relief who were not able to get to buy any shares on Friday when it actually was made public. So they're probably breathing a bit of a sigh of relief today. Felicia,
yeah, but not if you were a seller.
That's
there's
true.
always the other side of the trade.
Not if you're a seller. Yes, it's always fair, and I guess it's all love and war when it comes to trading, right? So, Felicia, thank you. Felicia Taylor there in New York, thank you so much. You are watching World One live from London. Hopes of defending their European Championship title have suffered a setback as one of their star strikers was ruled out of the tournament. Pedro Pinto joins us now with those details.
I do indeed. It's not good news for Spain. David Villa, their all-time leading scorer, will miss Euro 2012. The Barcelona star...
Can we communicate, you and I?
Only when we're not on air. Only during the breaks.
So LA or New York or New Jersey? It's kind of East Coast, West Coast battle.
Yes, exactly. We'll see who moves on, the Devils or the Rangers, to face the Kings.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
That's it.
Okay. You're watching World One live from London. Coming up, we'll tell you what's trending online and what's heading your way on the weather front with Tom Sater. Hello, Tom.
Hello, Monita.
We want to take a look at what's trending on social media right now, shall we? At number 3, footballer Didier Drogba. We heard Pedro talking about that there earlier. Lots of speculation surrounding his future after Drogba announced he's leaving Chelsea Football Club. Drogba posted a video on YouTube thanking his fans, and as of this moment, it's had over 130,000 hits. At number 2, you may not know his name, but he probably made your life a whole lot easier. Eugene Pauly, the inventor of the TV remote. Well, he died. He was 96. Pauly's creation, the Flashmatic wireless remote control, was introduced to the market back in 1955, and it was the first of its kind. And as we know, the remote control has undergone many an upgrade since. And at number one of the top stories on CNN's website, Apple's new home, not yet, but in 2015. Once complete, the tech giant's upgraded California offices will have their own power plant, be covered in solar panels, and house up to 13,000 people a day. Its futuristic design is being compared to a spaceship. Fancy. Now, after a colder than usual spring, Northern Europe is finally seeing some much needed sunshine. Meteorologist Tom Sater is at the World Weather Center with those details. And Tom, a lot of people are feeling very happy here in London.
Well, I'm surprised it's not one of your top 3 trends going on here. I mean, abundance of sunshine, absolutely gorgeous, in a good portion of Europe.
Right, a lot of sunshine.
I cannot complain, Tom. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. You are watching World One live from sunny London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. Stick with us. We'll have the headlines at the top of the hour right here on CNN.